We're on to Arizona today, the Cardinals, to talk about this football team and probably one of the more disappointing teams, unfortunately, this year. Especially with their roster, like there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of talent. You're saying, wow, what is going on out here? Is it coaching? Is it quarterback? Is it GM? What are we doing? What's wrong with this team? Yeah, injuries have been a big part of this, but there's more to it. And I want to talk about this team, go into depth with the roster, free agency, and we'll get into a 7-round mock draft. Let's talk about some coaching, because coaching is another big thing that we're going to have to really get into with this football team. Starting with the roster and the offense here, what are the biggest needs here? Is quarterback a need? That's a really good question. Now, my opinion is I would say you rock with Kyler Murray for at least one more year, especially with that contract. Give him another weapon. Give him some help on the offensive line. The offensive line is taking a step back this year, in my opinion. Now, Will Hernandez just got healthy, really, and it definitely was a big help for them in that Indianapolis Colts game. But still, like, this offensive line is going to need some retooling. You're getting a little bit older now on the interior, and a right tackle, free agent with Jonah Williams, Will Hernandez. So overall, this interior and the tackle position of right tackle are both things that they have to address this offseason. Yelda Frohold's a really good center, but he is going to a contract year next year. So maybe John Gaines ends up taking over for that, or they re-sign Frohold's been a really good center. Overall, like, I'm just saying, Evan Brown is going to be going to a contract year. They're going to need to invest in the interior. They're going to need to invest in maybe a right tackle. Those are two big areas that they're going to have to really look at this offseason. Wide receiver being the other big area that they have to look at. They need another weapon. They need somebody with some speed, too. They can be a deep threat in this offense. And maybe they can mold well a little bit more with Kyler Murray's sideline deep ball throwing ability. He's not the best at throwing over the middle of the field. And Jacoby Brissett actually looked way better at throwing some of those more tight window over the middle of the field passes, it seemed like, versus the Colts. He was at least willing to test them, whereas Murray is like, no, I don't really want to test those sort of things. That's a whole separate conversation. I'm very curious to see how Brissett looks versus the Packers. That defense, I think, will give him a little more of a challenge. Colts were really banged up. They were out with Kenny Moore and Charvarius Ward as their two top corners. Now, I don't want to take any discredit away from Jacoby Brissett, because I thought he looks really, really good. And he had some really good passes with Trey McBride. Even the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. went out early with the concussion, he is cleared to play here in the Packers. And this is recording before the Green Bay Packers, so just give you a heads up on that. Overall, wide receiver, offensive line, those are the two big needs that we have to address in the draft. Beyond that, maybe you could get a running back late in the draft, especially with James Conner being out for the year. It is only a foot injury, so we should be ready to go come training camp next year. And then you have Trey Benson, who should be back later in the season. It's not that big of a need. You could bring back Michael Carter on the cheap. Bam Knight's actually played pretty well, too. And right now, it looks like Carter and Bam Knight are going to be your 1-2 punch. Amari Diamercado is probably going to be gone after the season, unfortunately. Might sting a little bit. I'm just going to say that Carolina Panthers game was rough. It wasn't just Diamercado, all right? There were plenty other factors between penalties and bad play calling. And just like, what were they doing? Are they trying to lose this game? That's what I felt like they were betting against themselves. But let's go on to the defense now. The top needs on the defense, in my opinion, could be safety. I think it's linebacker, though, really. I think they need to improve the linebacker position. The defensive line is still underperforming for, I think, where they're at on the interior. Now, here's what I will say. Don't get me wrong. Like, Calais Campbell's been excellent. He's just a limited player at this point in his career. He is fantastic. I see him make plays every single game. I've watched all the Arizona Cardinal games, and he has been somebody that has clearly made an impact for this football team. So I don't want to discount how good he is. But once again, he is a guy that I'm not going to project him coming back because of where he is at his career. And if he does want to come back, then that's great. I will welcome him back in full arms, because I think he's still a fantastic football player, and at least on a rotational basis. Tomlinson's fine, right? He's still very, very solid, helps on the run game. He's not going to be Mr. Splash Play, but he does his job. And he is also a dude that is getting a little bit expensive now. Could they invest in another guy that is like Dalvin Tomlinson, who can be a really solid run defender type of dude? Absolutely. Stills has been a good player, too. I mean, especially for where they got him. I thought that was a great steal to get him out of West Virginia. Darius Robinson, he's been dealing with injuries, of course, and that's been a big thing with Robinson, and Walter Nolan, of course, with the calf thing, and he's still waiting to suit up his first NFL game. He's expected to come back soon, but there is no timetable just yet. He has not been activated to come into practice just yet. So we'll monitor that situation. I think Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones will both be cut this offseason to save some money right there. And that's why I'm saying defensive tackle is another area that they could beef up with more of a run defender type of guy in here. You got some pass rushers with Robinson and Nolan. Unfortunately, Robinson got injured coming off kind of his best game of his career. It's a little bit is what it is. Overall, we'll see how that comes along his development. And I still wonder, it's like, should you put him just off the edge more? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where he played his best football in Missouri. So he didn't play amazing in Missouri on the interior. He really had his best flashes, in my opinion, off the edge in his last season at Missouri. So we'll see what they decide to do going forward, especially if a new coaching staff comes in here and runs more of a base 4-3. That might benefit Robinson a little bit more than the 3-4 here, playing a DN role, kind of over tackle, 4-eye, 5 shade at the moment. And then you got Baron Browner, Josh Sweat. They both been really good off the edge. Collins is more of a run defender guy. Browning and Sweat have been your pass rushers. Sweat's been really good, and I think the Eagles certainly miss him. Let's put it that way. Sweat has been worth the money and then some. I think he's been fantastic so far this season. I think Browning's been a good, solid pass rusher as well. I've seen him make some big-time plays. He's got that run celebration, too. That's pretty cool. Jordan Burch has been used in rotation. Ojulari, I would love to just see him get back, right? I mean, I know that guy's got some talent. It's just injuries have kept him off the field. They could always draft some more edge depth. Like that's something, you can do every single year. You know what I mean? They got limited picks. They've just got their 7 draft picks. We'll see what we can do. Cornerback, this is a room where I would say maybe you just bring in a veteran in free agency. You got a lot of youth, and Garrett Williams hopefully comes back later on in the season to help them out there. All pro level slot corner. Will Johnson's played fantastic. He was a little banged up for a couple weeks. Now he's back and he's been playing really good. Max Melton does get picked on a little bit. He's made some good plays. He's also gotten beat on a couple of plays. I still like Mad Max. At the same time, though, it is something we need to continue to monitor with Max Melton and whether or not he is the full-time, long-term starter for this football team. And that's why I would say bringing like a veteran, experienced starter to go behind him. You got some more youth with like Denzel Burke, Kittrell Clark, Elijah Jones yet to play. Starling Thomas is injured right now. All those guys give you some solid depth. I would like to bring in a veteran if you maybe let go Sean Murphy Bunting this offseason, which to me would be an obvious choice to save a little bit of money there too. Safety is more of a future look sort of thing. I think Jalen Thompson is a good safety, but he is going into that contract year. Dadrian Taylor Demerson has played really, really well. He's made multiple plays, a couple interceptions this year as well. He's been all over the football field, whether he plays in the box, up top. Dude has been a really good player. I think he's actually been one of their better safeties. And Budda Baker has had his moments this year too, but I do think he's been a little bit of a step back from last season. Let's just be real. Budda's missed a couple of assignments. I have seen him get beat a couple of times this year. Even the secondary in general has gotten beat a couple of times this year. They play a very bend, don't break style, though, generally speaking. So it does put some pressure on these guys holding their zone assignments. In general, I think they've been very, very solid. Thompson, Baker, and Demerson, all really, really good football players. But Demerson has definitely been a guy that's flashed to me and been a star on this defense. So let's continue to watch on his development because he could be ascending, and I think he has a really good chance to take that role from Jalen Thompson after this season and to be the full-time starter. Hey, they could even consider, depending on what they want to do, they could always bring back Jalen Thompson. He's a little younger than Budda Baker and let him go. But I think Baker, he's a leader in this for this football team, so I don't think it would make sense to do that. And he's still a very good football player. In general, I think they're in a really good spot at safety. It is something we could draft and develop because Budda Baker will be going to a contract year, I believe, in 2027. But that's not like a super early need. You do have Kid Crawford, who I do like, and I think he's another guy that could, if nothing else, be a good rotational player for them. Linebacker, though, and that's going to talk about this last thing here with the linebacker position, which I do think is a need for them. Akeem Davis-Gaither, I feel, has gotten exposed in coverage at times this year. Mac Wilson's not really a coverage guy, but he's been their best linebacker, and I think he's been their best tackler on the football team in general. So I like Mac. He's been very, very good. You got Cody Simon in the wing. We'll see what he can bring to the table. I thought he was really good at Ohio State, so maybe he can be that number 2 linebacker. I would say this is something between free agency and the draft that they can figure out. They can maybe find an upgrade from Akeem Davis-Gaither. I don't want to say Davis-Gaither is a terrible player. He's definitely not. I would love him as a 3rd linebacker. At the end of the day, though, right now, I would be looking to find maybe a little bit of an upgrade there in this linebacking room to elevate it a little bit more. So let's go on to the coaching staff now, which this coaching staff, for me, I do tend to lean towards getting a new coaching staff this offseason. Jonathan Gannon has not really, like this team in general, I don't know, they're just lacking something. You know what I mean? They're lacking some sort of oomph. And an ability to close out games, and they always seem to blow games, and that is a big problem. And that comes down to coaching staff too. It's not just personnel; like coaching staff has to do better. And I don't, want to hate on them too much because I don't think they're horrible coaches or anything like that. But I do think it might be time for a change here. Drew Petzing, and it plays a lot of 12, 13 personnel even in this offense. Just really hasn't worked out, and getting some of these receivers more involved. Yeah, you got some good tight ends. Higgins has been a good one as well. Yeah, you got Nick Rallis on the defense, who's been a solid defense coordinator. But I just feel like it's once again, it's just bend don't break. It's very much prevent defense a lot of times. And I'd love to see him get a little bit more aggressive at times and say, hey, we're going to go for it. We're going to blitz a little more often, right? He needs to, I don't need to necessarily have to blitz all night sort of thing. Go remember the Titans. But at the same time, I'd like to see a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more press coverage. It is what it is. That's my view on this coaching staff. I have some names listed here that I've gone through in videos and whatnot. But with that, I know there's still plenty other names too we can talk about with these coaching. I'll have to continue to do some more research on guys that are going to be coming with coaching candidates, especially offensive and defensive coordinators that could be coming up the ranks. There's a lot of them for sure, but here are some to list out if they do decide to move on and get a new coaching staff. Monty Ossenfort, he's not, guaranteed either for me. I think he's somebody that they need to look at seriously, maybe possibly finding a replacement there. Just in general, this is a team that needs to figure out maybe a new sort of regime coming in here to help this football team get something going, right? That's just what it is. Let's go on to the free agency strategy now and start off with the team cuts because we're going to make a few cuts. We're going to start with Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to save over 18. That's over $19 million actually right there. And then we're also going to cut Sean Murphy-Bunting, another 7.5, and Akeem Davis-Gaither, $4.5+ million to get us to over $76 million. They have a lot of money that they can clear up. So that's one thing I will say with these contracts. I'll give them credit. Like, at least they've done it so they've gotten to lock themselves into a lot of these contracts. And they can clear money really quickly if they really want to as well. But let's go on to the team re-signs now and start with the offense. I'm going to bring back some depth guys here with Michael Carter, Greg Dortch, Kelvin Beachum, and Will Hernandez. Beacham's a guy that just clearly loves it here in Arizona, and if he wants to continue to come back, then I'm fine with that. He's a good swing tackle, has ability to play left and right side, so I am totally fine with that. Dortch, special teams ability, punt return, kick return, all those sort of things. Carter, good solid third running back for them. Will Hernandez, good football player. He's just kind of coming off injuries and whatnot, but if he wants to come back, I'm fine with that because he wouldn't be super expensive and at least would give us a spot starter. We're still going to be investing in the interior, believe you me. Defense, I'm not bringing anybody back. If Calais wants to come back, oh, absolutely, we'll bring him back. You could bring back some depth guys like J.J. Russell, wouldn't shock me. Jalen Thompson, I made the decision that we're going to, Dadrian Taylor-Demerson, I feel like is ready to go, ready to be that starting guy. And even Thompson right now is playing slot corner because of the injury with Garrett Williams. So Demerson's been great. I'm not worried about that. Let's go ahead and get a little cheaper there at safety, and we'll go that route. And now we go on to the exclusive restricted guys. There's some of these dudes I didn't list, like DeMarcado. I just decided we're going to let him go here. But Bam Knight, Chad Ryland, Starling Thomas, PJ Mustipher. A lot of these guys are going to get camp invites sort of things, and then we'll see what happens. And you include that in the practice squad as well, which is $4 million. So that gets us a little bit of round out with the roster. Go ahead and talk about some outside free agent signings here. We got a couple of them. We got a couple of big ones for sure. Starting with offense, Alec Pierce from Indianapolis. We're going to go sign a dude that I think fits Kyler Murray's skill set at the wide receiver position. He's going to be a big-time vertical threat that I think that they really are missing in this offense. So Alec Pierce, to me, is just like a dream fit. We got to pay him $18 million. Not cheap. But at the end of the day, you got to pay receivers. You got to pay players out there. And I think Alex Pierce is a really good football player that just continues to get better and better as well. And then on the defense side of the ball, I'm going to bring in Benito Jones, Jair Alexander, and DeMar Hamlin as some help, some depth, some veteran presences. And then we're going to go with a splash. And we're going Devin Lloyd. Woo! Let's go. Devin freaking Lloyd. He said a different word, though. Liam Cohen did in the locker room. Devin Lloyd's been a beast. He's a little banged up right now, but the dude is a monster, and he is a guy that's going to come in here and just elevate this defense and take them to the next level. 3 years, $66 million. He now gets paid the highest to outlast Fred or beat out Fred Warner at $21 million currently. So $22 million, you got to pay him, right? Because the Jags, they're going to try their best, but Lloyd's going to have to be cushioned over. Yeah, you bring him over to Arizona on a monster contract, get yourself a stud linebacker, and that would be fun. Him and Mac Wilson as your 1-2 punch at that linebacker room. I'm vibing with it all day. And then I count in $8 million for projected draft capital here. So let's look at the roster before the draft and talk about what we still need to do. Offensive line, we didn't address this in free agency. I want to address this in the draft. I think they need to get younger here, and I think that they need to continue to improve, and we're going to do that in the draft. I got my eyes set on some players here. Now, I do want to continue to invest in the wide receiver room, but we're not done yet. Okay, I want to still add more weapons into this offense, so we'll do that. And on the defense side of the ball, I'm going to be investing in some possibly another defensive tackle for the future in a Dalvin Tomlinson sort of mold. We did bring in Benito Jones, who can help us out in that regard as well, into the big monster D tackle. I want to invest in a secondary player late here, and then maybe another linebacker to round out some depth and special teams purposes here. Tyndall could also help out. That was the same thing with Popo. But let's go on. It's draft time here, and we're going to Spencer Fanu. And then we go with Spencer Fanu, the offensive tackle, right tackle at Utah. It quite hasn't been the season he's looked for and feeling like he's a confident top 5 pick in this draft. But he's still a really talented football player and somebody that has really good athleticism, needs to continue to work on his technique a little bit, right? I think his hand technique is a little off balance sometimes too. Overall, the guy's traits are very, very good, and somebody that I think will be a great 1-2 punch tackle combination youthful group with Paris Johnson Jr. And I didn't even talk about Paris Johnson Jr. because I think he's already possibly a top 10 tackle. I'm really close to putting him at the top 10 right now. He has definitely been fantastic, and he just continues to get better as well. But now you add in Spencer Fanu. What an athletic duo of tackles you have to protect Kyler Murray and maybe a future quarterback down the line, if, of course, that situation has to arise at some point. But let's go on to round number 2, where I'm conceptualizing Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, the wide receiver who's been fantastic this season. He is good with the ball in his hands. He also makes big-time plays down the football field. And there have been multiple passes this year that have been left on the football field. I love Marcel Reed. All right, you're going to hear me talk about him through and through. I'm a big component, big believer in him. I think he could be a top quarterback in the NFL someday, but the accuracy has to improve. Marcel, I love you so much, but just got to improve a little bit there. Casey Concepcion, though, is a really good playmaker, and I think his yardage would be even crazier. Him and Mario Craver next year is going to be a first-round pick. Oh, geez, Craver's insane. But Concepcion, also a very good wide receiver. That's a 1-2 punch in college football. Texas A&M's really turned it around at receiver. Now, with this football team in Arizona, let's get another playmaker in here. Maybe it's a little bit redundant with what you have in Dortch. You could say, well, why would you bring back Dortch? Look, we'll be able to bring Concepcion along nice and slowly, not overload him with too much. And Dortch is not a bad player either to have, at least as some backup. Want to make sure we're on a good footing there. Cap is fine for us too. So I feel like, hey, let's just go ahead and do that. We're going to continue to invest in this receiver position with Casey Concepcion. And now he got his own barbecue sauce maybe too. On to round number 3. Brian Parker II, the Duke Blue Devil here. I watch a lot of Duke football as well because I'm a big Darian Mensah fan. And I think Parker has been really good at right tackle for them. He's going to move inside. I just don't think he has the arm length. But he's a good, solid athlete and somebody that has been really impressive with his mirroring ability and all those sort of things. So he's somebody that I could see playing center for them long haul and or playing guard. And in this case scenario, I'm going with some athletic guys on this offense line with Fanu and Parker. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day. If new coaching staff comes in, maybe they bring in a new scheme, maybe a new sort of regime and things out. They're going to run things. But overall, Parker going to improve this offensive line. We have to improve. We just do. That is the number one thing that I would say right now that we need to continue to address, especially after we've done a free agency. And I doubled down in round number 1 and 3 there with 2 offensive linemen. Now we're going on defense. The first defensive pick is Tim Keenan III from Alabama. The Crimson Tide roll Tide into Tim Keenan, who's a really good football player that reminds me a little bit of Dalvin Tomlinson, actually, of funny things enough. He's got a similar build too, but the way he plays, I think he's just a really, really solid run defender. if I had to sum him up, what I think he's going to be in the NFL, a very good run defender. I don't think he adds a whole ton of pass rushing juice. Okay, he's just not that guy. He's not the most explosive, but he will get after the passer here and there. He can bull rush you and stuff like that. He's strong. He really is. He's strong as a bull, and he's going to be a very, very nice run defending defensive tackle. And that's what I'm looking for here in round number 4. Austin Romaine, the linebacker. He's got his own letter sponsorship after this season. I have not watched a whole ton of him just yet, so pardon me. It's just like highlights and stuff like that. But the dude definitely looks like a playmaker, and he's got some nice build there to him, so he can be somebody that can be a tackling machine for them. And just in case Mac Wilson goes off in free agency in 2027, well, then I think Romaine could fit that sort of a role from Mac Wilson. And that was just kind of what I was looking at here with this draft pick with Austin Romaine. And also, I think he'd be a really good special teamer early on. On to round number 8, Le'Veon Moss, running back from Texas A&M. We go back to Texas A&M and get their running back. And Moss has had a solid season this far. I mean, he's still, I think, injuries from last season especially, it sometimes can carry over a little bit. At the end of the day, though, Moss is a good, solid running back to add into the room. He's got a good blend of size, speed, and overall ability to kind of break some tackles and stuff like that. I don't think like he's the most impressive when it comes to speed or anything like that, or the most explosive, but he's got some solid vision and a good running back here on day 3 to add some depth into the running back room, especially if James Conner, he's getting a little bit older now, and we need to give him more time, more breaks and stuff like that. You get Benson, we brought back Michael Carter, but I want to make sure we round out the running back room. Final pick of the draft, Peyton Bowen from Oklahoma. This is a dude I need to watch very soon. I've heard some good things about this guy, but Bowen kind of seems like a mold of a type of safety that they go after here, and that's really what I'm doing, is finding a safety to be able to develop. He's another dude that's going to be able to impact right away on special teams for them, and maybe down the line can compete with Crawford for that other spot to go with Taylor Demerson as that opposite safety if they end up letting go of Budda Baker after this next season or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with this pick, just trying to round out some depth, help out special teams, and look towards the future. So that's going to do it here for the draft. Let's go ahead and recap everything up and what we were able to do. Looking at the roster, well, we started with the offensive line, improving it. That was a big priority for me. I wanted to get some more young talent in this offensive line. So we added Fanu to come in to be that right tackle of the future, him and Paris Johnson Jr. Oh, I'm envisioning that. I'm conceptualizing that right now with Casey Concepcion. I'm sorry. But yeah, you got Alex Pierce as well in free agency. So this offense, if Kyler Murray cannot, I'm as confused again, conceptualize with this offense. But if he can't succeed with this offense, then maybe you go into 2027, you said, okay, quarterback time. All right. Like, let's give Kyler one more year. You bring in maybe a new coaching staff. You have more playmakers here that can fit his skill set as well. You add in a good offensive lineman to help improve this too. This is the offense I'm looking for here to take them to the next leaps and bounds. And then on the defense side of the ball, yeah, maybe we didn't spend any super high draft picks. I mean, we didn't spend any round 1 or day 2 picks on this. At the same time, I think they've invested in it, right? We need to see some of these young guys step up, like Darius Robinson, Walter Nolan, like, Will Johnson, who already has stepped up. Max Melton maybe takes that next step. Adrian Taylor Demerson's, I think, is ready to go. We bring in Devin Lloyd now, who's going to be some more fireworks into this linebacking room. We drafted some depth across the board, whether it's safety, linebacker. Those guys going to help us out maybe in the future, or at least special teams early on. Tim Keenan, I think, will be a guy going into 2027 that we can feel a good, solid role for and project that at least with David Dalvin Tomlinson, maybe going in the last year of his contract. You say, all right, we need to think about that, right? So Keenan can at least help out there in that regard. We didn't add any edge talent here. I'm just hoping that Ojulari can get a little bit healthy. And Collins is a solid rotational player. And Josh Sweat's been a big-time hit there in free agency thus far. Browning's been solid as well. You got Birch. He'll be going to year number 2. So I figured, hey, we'll go ahead, see what we have here. We improve some other areas, especially on offense. And this defense, right now, it's a solid defense, okay? It's not the worst defense in the NFL. It's like a mid-tier defense. Could they get better? Absolutely. Like, is it not, as much defense? For as much as they've invested in it, would I like to see a little bit better? Yeah. But at the same time, I think they've got some talent. We continue to improve that with a guy like Devin Lloyd in here. We added some guys also like Jair Alexander who can help build some more depth as well. So That's kind of what I'm looking at. DeMar Hamlin, of course, too. So, hey, let's go, man. Let's go. That's going to be it for the Arizona Cardinals. Let me know what you think, agree or disagree. Hope you guys have a really good day. And I'm sorry, I just realized, but I'm on like the Green Bay Packer. It's not quite their color. It's kind of pretty close, isn't it? But I'm not rooting for another. I'm just going for a good football game. Let's go, Jacoby. Let's bring it on. But let me know what you think, agree or disagree. And I hope you guys have a good day. Let me know what you think. Quarterback, no quarterback. What would you do? What would you do? But what would you Scooby Doo to this football team? I'll see you guys later.